Hi, beautiful soul. Welcome to this episode of Light Leaders Ascension School. I'm Athina Bailey, and today we are talking about these signs that your spirit guides are trying to contact you. Because guess what? You have a spiritual team made up of many different types of guides who love you unconditionally, who love you deeply, and are here to support you and ensure that you move into full soul alignment. And the reality is that whether you believe in them or not, whether you've tried to contact them or not, they are there supporting you. And when you open up that relationship with them, when you start to talk to them, acknowledge them, they get excited. They're like, yes, our human remembers, right? Because before you incarnated, you were up there chatting with your spirit guides. You were like, hey, Ascended Master Saint Germain, can you help me in this lifetime? Because I'm going to do a lot of healing work. I could really use your help and your guidance. Yeah, I got you. I'll come in and I'll support you. And then you're in your human life forgetting. And then one day you're like, I should talk to my guides. And Saint Germain's like, yes, finally, you remember. Yes, we have a contract. Let's get to work, right? So they get excited. They want to contact you. And this is when you start to notice some signs, right? And I mean, there are some very generic signs like 1111 and 333. And you're wondering, what does that mean? Like, what do these numbers mean? But you're seeing them over and over again and you know it's a sign, right? Generally, these signs are a very good thing and they are an indicator, right? So I almost use them as a measure of my energy and my alignment. So when I'm in a space where I've like made a decision or I'm shifting into something, I'm focusing on something, and then I see 444, then 1111, then 2222, like over and over again, I'm like, wow, affirmations from the universe, from my guides, that I am on the right path. So I'm less concerned about what that specific number means. I'm actually more about how often we get it during the same time, because it's like the confirmation. 444, 222s, 111s, they're really good confirmation numbers for you, right? Now, if there is a specific energy you're seeing, like for example, you see 7 and then 7 again, then 7 again, then 7 again, that's also an indicator that you should probably look at the frequency of number 7 and what it means. But in general, I'm looking at the synchronicities coming because that's another sign. The synchronicities, right? So things aligning, being coincidental. This is one of the big guides from a spirit, right? Where suddenly, let me think of an example to give to you. Maybe you've just, like one day you've just woken up and you're like, I don't like my job anymore. Like I feel I have to leave my job. It doesn't resonate with me. I don't love it anymore. And so you go, okay, great. Well, that's something I've got to process. You just had that realization. You open your phone, scrolling through social media, and then you see that there's a job advert for a job that looks amazing. And you're like, oh my God, this is very coincidental. Is it? Or is it your spirit guides coming in to support you? So those kind of coincidences are the breadcrumbs that your spiritual team is leaving. Now we can also get contact through animals. That's very, very typical, right? So for example, you might be processing something, meditating on something, and then a particular type of animal comes forward and you're like, whoa, what is going on here, right? Those animals usually represent something. So it's a good idea to Google it, to go have a look and go, what does that animal represent? Because that is absolutely a way they try and contact you. Now, it's great that they're trying to contact you. I love it. Listen to all the signs. And guess what? You get to contact them first, right? So how does that look? Let me give you an example. When I was 16 years old and I was deciding I wanted to strengthen my connection with spirit guides. I was reading a book about spirit guides. And I was sitting on the bus home from school, and the book that I was reading said, ask your spirit guides for a sign. Ask your spirit guides for a sign. I was like, cool, yeah, let's do it. And I'm on the bus and I'm like, don't know what sign they're going to give me on the bus, but you know what? I'm open. Let's see. So I'm like, okay, spirit guides, put down the book. I'm like, spirit guides, show me a sign. I open my eyes and I look out the window, and I remember seeing this huge billboard. And on the billboard, it said, this is a sign, buy a sign. And it was like just big, this is a sign. And underneath it, buy a sign. And I was like, well, that's a big sign. Like, it was quite shocking how big of a sign it was. For me, that was like, well, that's a big confirmation. But then when I started to channel my guides, right, and actually open up to them, one of the things that I would do is I would ask for validation, right? Because when you start channeling, it can feel a bit, am I making this up or is this real? That's how it feels. it does feel like that because you're not used to receiving it until it gets really strong. And then you're like, whoa, this is like, this is a strong energy. But when it first starts, it's very subtle, right? It's like when you get a download in meditation and you're like, oh, did I make that up? Was that my imagination? And before you understand and learn like the subtle differences between channeled message versus your ego or your mind making something up, you need validation, right? So, and you need confirmation. So I'll give you another example. One of the first times that I was channeling my spirit guides, I was lying in bed and I was saying, okay, angels, I want to know your name. Angel, what's your name? And I was just talking to one of my angels and I heard the name in my mind. I just heard and saw Angelo. In my head, I'm like, oh my God, look at my subconscious. It's literally gone angel and added an O. Angel O. I was like, well, I'm making that up. And I literally just got up and was like, that was shit. And I just got on with my life. The next day, we went to a spiritual festival that was on that I loved because I was going through my spiritual awakening as a teenager. And I would go to this festival and be like, these are my people. I'm not alone. And I was always so excited to go. And there was a guy there and he was doing free card readings, right? And I was a teenager and I was like, oh my God. Great. I was like a broke teenager. Great, give me the free reading. So I ran over and I'm like, can I get a free reading, please? And the reader, Nathan Ho, was still a friend of mine to this day. He still does readings, I'm pretty sure. And he pulled out a card and he says to me, oh, you've got a new angel working with you. His name is Angelo. Stop. Yes. That was it for me. I was like, well, that was a confirmation. I was like, I wasn't making it up. So guess what? I went home and I tried channeling again and I continued and I worked on it and I kept asking for confirmation. You get to ask for signs. When you ask spirit, I need to make a decision. I really feel like intuitively this is the right decision, but not this one. Give me a sign. I need a sign, right? You can say, hey, I think I'm going to invest in this, but I need a sign. In the next 24 hours, please show me a really clear symbol of a frog so that I can understand it, and a really clear frog, and I know that's aligned with me. Spirit guides, please provide me a sign that you're with me. Spirit guides, show me a sign. Spirit guides, I feel like I'm intuitively receiving this message from you. Can you confirm to me? Can you validate that for me? Show me a sign and validate me. Sometimes even, and I still do this to this day, when spirit gives me a really big, because, the guidance isn't always just small. Sometimes they give me really big guidance, right? So for example, when right at the start of January 2020, I was teaching in person. This is before all the COVID stuff started. And I was teaching in person. And in one of the workshops, everybody was doing their healing sessions. And my spirit guide said to me very clearly, Athina, it's time for you to go fully online. And I went, I don't want to. I want to stay in person. Like I genuinely didn't want to stop. And they said, no, this is your last one. And I was like, because I trust, right? I trust my spirit guides very much. If they giving me guidance and advice, I trust that there's something higher that I'm not seeing. So I said, okay, all right. And I stopped teaching. Within a couple of months, I was online, had a successful business online, and successfully migrated my business fully online, and we were on lockdown. Thanks, Spirit, right? So that was another confirmation and validation for me. But they were basically telling me to shut down my in-person business. I had to ask for a sign, right? And I got one. So for you, when you are given, you're like, oh, I feel like I'm getting guidance that I need to move, right? Or I need to leave my job or something big, right? Something that you're like, fuck, that requires a lot of trust for me to actually do that. You get to ask for a sign, right? You get to go, okay, look, you're asking a really big thing for me. So I'm going to need some sort of very clear sign that is actually for my highest good, that is actually aligned for me and that I should do that now. And you get to receive those signs, right? And ask for a clear sign. You can literally request, I don't know, a rose. You're like, a rose is my sign, right? A rose is my sign. Spirit guides, a rose is my sign. Show me roses when I'm on the right path. Show me roses when that's a decision I'm meant to take. And it might be something as simple as you meet a woman, she's got a rose in her hair. Or you're looking at an online course and it's got roses on it. Or, somebody's wearing rose perfume. right? So, or you meet someone and their name is Rose, right? So you've got to be really open to how it comes. But it's like you're breadcrumbing, because most people, they haven't set up a sign with their spirit guides. So the spirit guides are like, everybody knows about 444. Give them a 444 and 1111. That 888. That gives them numbers, because we know about it. We're like, oh yeah, signs. But if they just show you a rose and you're like, oh, cool, a rose, and you don't know that it's a sign. So if you start getting more intentional about what your signs are, along with show me a sign, show me that this is the right sign for me. And hey, you know what? Let's make roses our sign. Roses are that I'm on the right path. If you show me a lily, that means that path isn't for you. Communicate with your guides, right? They can drop in and show you and bring your attention and awareness to these signs, and be open as well to receiving that image in your mind clairvoyantly as well. So these are some of the ways that your spirit guides are talking to you, working with you, leaving you signs. Let me know what sign you request from your spirit guides in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions about anything I've shared as well. Remember to subscribe, like. Thank you so much for being here. Blessings.